The cafeteria incident happened on a Tuesday. I say this with absolute certainty because Tuesdays are when the Academy serves those disgusting protein cubes that smell like burnt rubber and taste worse. As a Vorkathi observer assigned to monitor the Human Integration Program, I'd been documenting every meal, every interaction, every microscopic detail of how these bizarre creatures adapted to our prestigious military institution, or failed to adapt. Marcus Webb sat alone at table 7, the same spot he'd occupied for 3 weeks straight. The human cadet was unremarkable by most standards. Average height for his species, maybe 1.7 meters. Brown hair that stuck up in odd directions despite Academy grooming regulations. Those strange, forward-facing predator eyes that made half the herbivore species nervous just looking at him. "Hey, look who it is!" Carval's voice boomed across the dining hall. "The little human who thinks he belongs here." I perched my datapad on my secondary appendage and watched. Carval was a Brexian, nearly 3 meters of scaled muscle and territorial aggression. Behind him clustered his usual crew. Thex, a Gorthian with 4 arms and an ego twice as large. Pliva, whose species name I could never pronounce properly. All tentacles and venom sacs. Rune and Dax, twin Keltorians who moved like liquid mercury and thought they were unstoppable. They'd been targeting Webb for weeks. Small things at first, shoulder checks in the corridor. Accidentally breaking his datapad, spreading rumors that humans were weak, fragile, barely qualified to clean the waste recyclers, let alone attend the most prestigious military academy in 4 sectors. Marcus looked up from his meal. His face remained blank, emotionless. That's what always fascinated me about humans. They could mask their intentions so completely. "Problem?" Marcus asked, his voice flat. Carval laughed, that deep rumbling sound that made the walls vibrate. "Problem? Yeah, there's a problem. You're sitting at our table." "Strange," Marcus said, taking another bite of his protein cube. "I don't see your name on it." "Oh, fascinating." The human was actually pushing back. I leaned forward, my sensory stalks quivering with anticipation. This might actually be interesting for once. Thex stepped forward, all 4 arms flexing in what his species considered an intimidating display. "You heard, Carval, meatbag. Move, before we move you." Marcus chewed slowly, deliberately, swallowed, took a sip of water. The silence stretched like elastic about to snap. "No," he said simply. The cafeteria went quiet. 200 cadets from 47 different species, all suddenly very interested in their meals. Or pretending to be, anyway. Carval's scales shifted to a deeper red, his species' version of flushing with anger. "You think you're tough, human? Your species couldn't even colonize your own moon without almost killing yourselves. Your evolutionary mistakes. Weak. Pathetic." Marcus set down his fork with a soft click that somehow sounded louder than Carval's booming voice. "Are you done? Because my lunch is getting cold, and unlike you, I actually came here to learn, not to compensate for inadequacy issues." I nearly dropped my datapad. Did the human just... Carval's roar shook the light fixtures. His massive hand swept across the table, sending Marcus's tray flying. Soup, protein cubes, and something green splattered across the human's uniform, the floor, and 3 nearby tables. The 5 bullies laughed. Pliva's tentacles writhed with amusement. Rune and Dax performed some kind of synchronized celebration gesture. Marcus stood slowly. Soup dripped from his chin. A protein cube slid off his shoulder and hit the floor with a wet plop. He looked down at his ruined uniform, then up at Carval. Those predator eyes suddenly looked very, very different. "That was my lunch," Marcus said quietly. Carval leaned down, bringing his massive head level with Marcus's face. Gonna cry about it, human? Gonna run to your mommy on your pathetic little planet? No, Marcus said. I'm going to educate you. Then several things happened very, very fast. Marcus's hand shot out, fingers rigid, and struck Carval directly in the throat. The Brexian's triumphant grin froze. His eyes bulged. He staggered backward, making a horrible choking sound. Thex lunged with all four arms. Marcus ducked under the first two, caught the third arm, and used Thex's own momentum to flip the massive Gorthian completely over. Watch the full video on my Spotify channel. Click the link in the description below.